Good evening, America. Hello, Chicago. And what's up? This is P. Ray. What's up, West Side? This is P. Ray of Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self-esteem. You could have been doing anything on this Sunday afternoon, and you chose to come hang out with me today at Black Excellence Hour. And as always, I truly, truly, truly appreciate the company. If you are watching live on the Black Excellence Hours Facebook page or the Intellectual Radio, the Intellectual Radio YouTube page. Please share the live, share the live. This week has been a wild week, everybody. This has been a very wild week. This week, Chicago Red went to City Hall. And Lord, how mercy did we go to City Hall? Because the mission of Chicago Red is to emancipate people from the culture of liberal failure that is bankrupting the city and leaving Americans behind. And so this week we went to City Hall to interact with the city council so that we could have a conversation about how they are managing and mismanaging Black people in the city. So I was one of the people who spoke. We also had Miss Jessica Jackson. She spoke as well. And oh my God, do I love her. I told her, America is in love with you, Miss Jessica. And she's like, really? Because she's not on social media. So she does not see how she has gone viral across America. She went down there on real business because there was a group, or there is a group over in South Shore. They are a communist organization, and they put up these flyers saying Black people are hating on immigrants. They should know better than that. And they were saying that because we have been very vocal about the fact that we do not want to pay for the illegals, aka, or publicly known as PKA, the migrants. We don't want to pay for them. We don't have any money for them. We don't think that they deserve it. And we're not going to continue to do this. Well, this group decided that they were going to put out some flyers across the South Side, letting Black people know that we were haters and that we needed to get with the illegals. There was also so anyway, I'll get to all of that. But first things first, we're going to get a dose of self-esteem from the greatest president to ever do it. Let me tell y'all something. He came up on another win this week. Shout out to my Donnie. Everybody said, ooh, Trump going to jail this week, P. Ray. Oh, they gonna lock him up. He's still out. He's still out. As the song goes on, I think that was on Instagram. I'm still alive. I'm still alive. Shout out to the man who made that song. But the man who is still alive, the man that's about to win the presidency and save America, once again, Mr. Donald John Trump Sr., the 45th president, soon to be president number 47. Roll tape. Oh, the tape is not taping. What? Oh, there we go. Roll tape. What is happening? I don't know. It's not the station. It is the equipment. I don't know what is happening with the tape. Some weird stuff has been happening though. Okay, let's go. Let's see if this will get it. Okay, yeah, it's playing.
Station. You know, you're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to you built the nation. We all built it, but you were such a massive part of it. Bigger than you were given credit for. Does that make sense? Right? But through generations of blood, sweat, and tears, and you deserve a government that defends your interests, protects your families, and cares for our own citizens first. My administration is fighting with everyone and all our heart to reverse the pain inflicted by Democrat leaders and to deliver hope and opportunity and prosperity for all Americans, but for African American communities all throughout our land. And our agenda is lifting up citizens of every background, race, religion, color, and creed. But while we are fighting every day to build up our nation, the far left only wants to wreck, ruin, and destroy our nation.
All right. Again, that was Donald John Trump Sr., the 45th president, the man that we are working very diligently to get back in office. Because if Trump doesn't get back in office, as I was quietly told by a prominent Democrat here in Chicago, they said that if Kamala gets back in office, it's going to be bad for Black men. But they can't say this publicly because, of the alliances. So if President Trump does not get back in office, it's not only going to be bad for Negro men, but it's also going to be bad for Negro women and children. Y'all see that I said the word Negro and not Black. Race is dead. Race is dead. We got to kill race, because if we keep going off of race, we're going to keep on ending up with situations like Kamala and Barack Obama and all of these people who are showing up in our spaces because they have brown skin like us and taking advantage of opportunities that are supposed to be for the Negro people. So, shout out to Donald Trump, or at least being on America First business, because the Negro is 100% American. Moving on, today is a very special day. Today is the birthday of Congressman Danny Davis. Now, you all know how much I love me some Congressman Davis. Can I get a little sound, please? So today, as I was saying, is Congressman Davis's birthday. And I'm going to read you guys his biography and share a couple of stories about my congressman, the congressman that I love intensely, because he is the one who raised me politically. And when I say raised, it's not like, I just, saw him in activities and I saw him on the street. No, I saw him real life, getting up, going to birthday parties, going to backyard parties, going to fundraisers, pushing real legislation. He is the realest congressman in the country. You can catch him anywhere at any time trying to go and do the work of the people. Congressman Danny K. Davis, he was actually born 2 days ago on September 6, 1941. He is the U.S. Rep for the 7th Congressional District, elected in 1996, right after the Million Man March. The west side of Chicago is where he's at, and it also goes out to Bellwood, Oak Park, and River Forest. He is a Democrat and a member of the Congressional Black Caucus. He grew up down in Arkansas. And he was raised on a farm. He makes the joke that his forehead is so big because he got kicked in the head by a mule and then it just stayed that way. But he worked very hard and he worked himself out of the situation that he was in. First things first, he went to Arkansas Agricultural, Mechanical, and Normal School, now known as the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, where he got a BA in history in 1961. He moved up here to Chicago like many others, and then he went to Chicago State and he graduated in 1968 with a master's in guidance, and then he went back to school and got a PhD in public administration in 1977 at Union Institute and University. We could be calling him Dr. Davis. From there, he came on up here and then he went to work. He was a government clerk. He taught in the Chicago Public Schools. He was the executive director of the Greater Lawndale Conservation Commission, where he was the director of training at the Neighborhood Health Center. He was also the director of the West Side Health Center. And then he said, you know what? I'm going to move from work and I'm going to move into politics. He became the alderman of the 29th Ward from 1979 to 1990. If you don't know, the 29th Ward is the most beautiful ward in the city. Let me tell you, huge Frank Lloyd Wright houses, big yards, barbecue, and lots of fun. He created that. Then he said, you know what? I want to move from the city council and I'm going to the Congress. He said first time in 1984 and then in 1986, he ran against Curtis Collins and he did not get it. He also challenged the Democratic nomination for Cook County Treasurer, and he didn't get it, but he said that's okay. And then he was elected to the Board of Commissions for the County of Cook from 1990 to 1996. Just because you run for office and don't get it the first time, that does not mean you quit, because the congressman stuck with it. He was successful in 1990 when 96 when he joined the U.S. Congress. Now, y'all, this is where our story starts. He worked in his office. The Congressional Black Caucus was a working caucus. And I get really frustrated when people say the Black Caucus has never done nothing for us. Oh, because they did a lot for us, y'all. The Congressional Black Caucus used to have an initiative called WOW, with ownership wealth. The goal of WOW was to increase Black home ownership by 1 million from 2000 to 2010. P. Ray, as a child, saying, "Ooh, everybody got to get a house," and I jumped down 10 toes down into the initiative through the Chicago West Side Branch NAACP. So from there, every single day after school, I went to the NAACP office or I went to the congressman's office, and we were getting Black people on the west side of Chicago into homes. Because, guys, this was the era where people were transitioning off of crack cocaine. So people went to rehabs, they got jobs, they bought houses, they got their children, and they moved it back in. What a wonderful time the early 2000s were in the city of Chicago. Danny Davis did this for us. So we're working and we're getting the people in the houses and we're winning. And all of a sudden, the party stops. The party stops because they were using bogus loans to fund the houses. The congressman didn't know in the Congressional Black Caucus. And so in 2009, President Barack Obama decided that he was going to bail out the banks from all of these bad loans after it was found to be true that they purposely came after Black folks with this bad money. From there, the Congressional Black Caucus just, I don't know what happened. But one thing I know for certain, two things for sure, that is what made P. Ray move on from the Democratic Party. So I say this to say that had my congressman not taught me the value of civic service, of wealth, of studying hard, of organizing, of having a true passion for the people, we wouldn't be here right now. I never would have gone to the White House to talk to Ben Carson about the federal housing money in the city of Chicago, because I wouldn't have known about it. But my congressman taught me how to research it. He also taught me how to get into rooms and talk to people in order to get what we have to get, because Congressman Davis is a masterful deal maker. And a lot of people say he doesn't do anything for the 7th Congressional District, and I say that is a lie. He brings the money back. Now, whether or not they choose to partage it the proper way, that's on the state and municipal level. But he goes to get the money. He keeps the people first. And for that, friends, I want to say happy birthday to Congressman Danny K. Davis of the 7th Congressional District, the 29th Ward. My God, Daddy, the one that I love the most. Happy birthday, Congressman. Happy birthday, Congressman. Happy birthday, Congressman. Yes. I love him. Moving on. We are in the middle of an invasion. Now we're going to get to the show because I just went off about my congressman. Happy birthday, Congressman. In real life. Now, I share with you all that Baby Love goes to school very far away from our home because she is in an academic center selective enrollment program. And in that program, when you test for a program such as that in the Chicago public schools, that deal comes with a school bus. The reason that the gifted schools come with the school bus is because after the desegregation decree was made live here in the city of Chicago, forcing them to desegregate the schools, the Chicago public schools removed all of the gifted classes out of the neighborhood schools and decided to consolidate them into standalone programs. So because they took the programs from the neighborhood schools, they said, if we're going to transport these children, then we need to have a bus. So my mama was in an accelerated learning class. Me and my brother went to selective enrollment. My daughter goes to selective enrollment. So we have seen the entire cycle. At this point, last year, they did not have any buses. They didn't give any money. I went to the board. They did not care. And so we just let it go. However, this year they promised that they were going to have the busing together. It was going to be good, blah, 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 blah. They still don't have any buses. I'm still driving 3-4 expressways every day to get my baby to school, and I don't like any of it. And so we are really pushing against how they're doing this. So I go to drop her off, and then I come back to city council because members of Chicago Red said we need to go and speak at City Hall. And so I went up there because I was kind of frustrated. So before I play myself, I want to talk about Miss Jessica Jackson, who is like the star right now across America. She has been going up to city council pretty consistently, letting them know that they have to treat us better. Well, Miss Jessica went up there the other day and went absolutely like intensely off on them. And she did this because this organization out south posted these signs that said Black people hating on immigrants, nonsense and words from people who should know better. And this man's name was Bob Avakian. So Bob was going to run this meeting on 71st and I think it's like Yates or something like that. I went over there. It was a mess, but I ain't even going to talk about that. The people went insane. But they were going to run this meeting, and Miss Jessica found these signs very, very racist. So this is what she said to the city council once she became aware of it. Roll tape.
You don't hang no signs about Black people hating on immigrants, because Black people ain't got no reason to hate on no immigrants.
Oh no, but the immigrants got
we everything y'all are in there, son. Let me tell you something. You get them signs down. Anytime that Ordinary Lawson and Silverstein and what's that other?
Cesar
Lopez. Sit up here and talk about how they should get a hate crime bill because swastikas was in Ziploc bags in that community. They hung this in our community. We want it off the polls. We want that to be the beginning of a hate crime. And that organization, which is a white liberal organization, like in the words of Malcolm X, who told us what? That the white liberal is the worst enemy to the Black man. Yes. And it is coming up in here, acting like y'all representing some social justice.
Say that,
but all along, you're doing is trying to use Black people to find a reason to make some money. Let me tell y'all something over there. We're done. The Democratic Party is done. You ain't gonna mess with us like
y'all gonna abuse us.
I'm telling you what I'm
they
telling
get to abuse the Black American.
Come in here and go clean it up. I'm telling you, the righteous heart. You leave the Democratic Party. Do just like RFK Jr., just do like that Tulsa lady. You better get up out the Democratic Party. Save yourself. Save your families, save your dignity, save your jobs, and save your seats. Because if y'all don't, we coming for your seats. We ain't taking this no more. We ain't taking no disrespect from a bunch of people who have broken into the country and now have completely broke the city, have completely broke the country, have completely disgraced the United States of America. America is a disgrace. And for us, oh my God, what a solution. You give us a fake, black, cackling hand of a candidate with a vice president that's talking about he want to put tampons in the boys' bathroom. Ain't nobody do this. The number one function of a president is to be the commander-in-chief. You tell me anything about a Kamala Harris that looked like she could protect this country after y'all have sat up here and they get her overridden with a bunch of illegal immigrants. Y'all have sat up here and put America's hands in all kind of wars. And you telling me a tampon man that ran from duty don't even know what his rule was. Kamala Harris, who don't know what race she is, gonna protect this country? The devil is a lie. Y'all better keep some signs down. Yeah, I know that.
With that being said, Miss Jessica is just, like I said, got them all the way together because they would not allow that level of racism for any other group of people. So Miss Jessica went down there and got them all the way together. They pulled down the signs. We went over there. There was this huge melee. And I'm like, they're like, P-Ray, come in. We gonna see what they talking about. And I'm like, why? Why are we talking about going to listen to them. Don't give them our presence. But the people want what the people want, and oh my God, did it go down. So moving on. I just think that people, I appreciate the people who went over there to shut them down. And everybody deserves to express what they want. This is a free speech country, but your free speech does not excuse you from the consequences of your words. And so that's what happened today on the South Side. Shout out to Miss Jessica. Everybody in America now knows and understands that Black Chicago is not playing. Moving on. So back to the story with Baby Love. So I'm driving her to school every day. I hate driving out there every day and back. It's horrible. Okay. I didn't sign up for this. I digress. So I already feel some kind of way. I go into City Hall and they say, P. Ray, you should come speak. So I go and I get on the mic and I spoke to them about the fact that they are able to figure out how to get us how they're able to figure out how to get us involved in immigration and immigration conversations and all this stuff, but they can't figure out how to fix the budget, nor can they figure out why they can't reduce the budget. They can't get the kids to school. They can't do anything else, but they decided to overspend the budget for illegals. So this was my conversation for the city council, because my family on both sides, my granny and my mom, both bought their buildings on the west side of Chicago in 1972. For 52 years on both sides, my family was able to hold on to our city property. We pay property taxes. Collectively, I got 104 years of property tax receipts. So if we didn't pay that much into the system, I think we should have a little bit to say about how our money is spent. Roll tape.
I'm P. Ray. Today I have on an Austin hoodie because I am a third generation resident of the Austin community. We've owned our building maternally for 52 years. We've owned our building paternally for 52 years. So I have 104 years of ownership in this city, paying property taxes on time. And I am here to ask, are y'all lying to us? Because, see, we know that the budget stated that you guys spent $400 million on the migrants who are illegal immigrants last year. The city is currently in a $235 million deficit, which means that you guys overspent the budget to pay for people who have not paid any taxes, who have not stood on the corners to take the buses to the Chicago Public Schools, who have not done anything. It is very disrespectful. It is extremely disrespectful that parents like myself have to go out and drive 3 expressways every morning to take our children to school because you guys can't get the busing situation together. But you have all the time, all the energy, all the solutions to do things for immigrants. My friends, not only is that Negro-phobic, but it is xenophobic against the American people. We are not being treated fairly in our city. And you guys are using our property taxes to affect us negatively. We are asking right now to put a moratorium on the sanctuary city ordinance. It is drowning the taxpayer. It is forcing everybody's rent to go up. It's forcing everybody's mortgages to go up because the property taxes are going up. There is no stoppage for the illegals who are coming up here because you guys have already magnetized our city for illegal immigration by showing the world how we treat people who come to our country illegally. And we don't have any more money for that, you all. We don't have any money. What I want you guys to do is figure out how to balance the budget before you talk about anybody that does not have a social security number. Before you talk about anybody who has not done the work of Americans. They don't deserve anything. We owe them nothing. And every time you guys have conversations about immigrants, what you guys are saying, not you, American Negro, because the American Negro is not an immigrant. At all. So every time you talk about them, every time you spend time talking about them, our taxpayer-funded time, you guys are pushing us to the back. And that's Negro-phobic, and that is disrespectful. The same way you all can get together and have a meeting for the immigrants, figure out how you can have a meeting to figure out how to balance and reduce the budget. We do not have the money. Stop giving them our money when our people need it. Not just, I'm not saying black people, the American people, the Chicago taxpayers. We need the money. Don't give them any more.
Yes.
That's how you do it.
So then people like, P-Ray, you went up there. So the Fox 32 recorded it or reported it. And the tweet said, Chicago resident goes off on city council. I'm like, I don't think I went off, but I could figure, like I said, I was already kind of frustrated from driving all the way to Hyde Park and then coming all the way back. It is, like I say, it's too much. And then, like, if you are a working parent, it's really difficult to get to the school and back and work a job, especially when your child's school is so far away. But this is a way for them to push neighborhood children out of the Chicago public gifted schools. I take it as a direct affront on Chicago's nerds. Shout out to the nerds of the Chicago public school. We deserve buses, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we get them, okay? We do too much homework. It's too stressful. People, you have no idea what the selective enrollment world is like. It's a lot. Well, it was a lot for us. Now they're much softer on the children, but still, the children earned this. They earned this. However, when they play these games about changing enrollment, messing with the buses, all that stuff, what it does is it further segregates the Chicago public schools because children who don't have access to certain socioeconomic things, such as a mother who has a car to drive them to school in the morning and the time to do it, right? If your mom is working a couple jobs to feed you every day, she doesn't have time for you to go to the school. So now you have to go to the neighborhood school, although you qualify for Nerdland. It's crazy. So that's why I think my tone was like that. I digress. While we were there, Byron Cicho Lopez had something to say about all of this. He said that he wants to tax Chicago millionaires at 3%. It's going to be on the ballot. We're definitely not voting for that for Byron, not even a little bit, because we're not going to vote for anything that pushes this socialist agenda. If they decide that they are going to tax the millionaires at 3%, then the millionaires can just leave. They don't have to live in Chicago. They can move to Oak Park. They can move to Aurora. They can go anywhere, right? So it's bad for the city, but this is socialism. Socialism likes wealth distribution, so they would rather push people who work and earned whatever they have out of the city rather than balance the budget. Listen to what Byron said. Roll tape.
20,000 millionaires who live in the city of Chicago who can pay the fair share, and there are solutions so that we can do both. Care for new neighbors as well as the current neighbors.
Are y'all okay? So that was his response to us because we were saying stop spending the money. He was yelling. Nobody said Byron Cicho Lopez goes off on residents. No, they want to make it seem like we were the problem. They are the problem. We paying taxes, y'all. We are literally paying for this. We didn't send for these people. If they were going to spend money like this, they could have partaged it amongst all of us. Everybody in the state of Illinois could have got some food stamps based on the amount of stamps that we're paying for them. Like, I don't understand. It could be called Sandwich on State of Illinois, and everybody gets like $20 a month or something like that. We're going to buy you lunch one day. Whatever. They don't deserve it. But they don't want to have that narrative. But what is happening with the conversations that are coming out of City Hall is that it is actually showing the entire country that we don't have to accept this because courage is contagious. So shout out to everybody in the city of Chicago who is contributing to this movement, and in whatever way you can, by any angle that you can, know that you are loved, cherished, and appreciated because we are changing the country. The whole wide country. They had no idea, friends, when they did their 10-year, 5-year, whatever year plan, that the city of Chicago would be in direct rebellion right now. And boom, shakalaka, here we go. It's crazy. But again, shout out to everybody who shows up and does what they have to do. Moving on. So after we left, we went to the morning meeting, and this was the immigration meeting. So that afternoon, I guess they heard what we said, the other aldermen, and then they had a meeting, a city hall meeting about the budget. They said everything is on the table. They were trying to eliminate $982 million of of deficit right now, so it is not a good thing. But first things first, before they cut any line item, the illegals need to be cut. Moving on. Lastly, I want to give a shout out to the Black Conservative Federation. They are currently doing their Black Voter for Trump bus tour, and they are going across America getting everything together. So I want to say first things first, shout out to Deontay Johnson, who is the leader of the BCF. Shout out to his partner, that is Quentin, and everybody else who came out to support the BCF bus tour. I also want to give a shout out to Chicago Red for showing up like we always do. Dennis, thank you for coming. Mr. Andrew, thank you for coming. Shout out to David, who we met out there. Shout out to Kim, who came as well. So again, we're showing people that Chicago Red is a real thing, and we're not getting ready to stop, not even a little bit, because we're getting our president back in office. Before I get to my guest, and we're going to definitely talk to her this afternoon, I want to take a call. Welcome. Let's see if welcome to Black Excellence Hour.
Hi, P. Ray. This is Dennis calling.
Hey, Dennis.
Hey, let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
I think that this Cinco Lopez don't have no respect for Black voters. He don't have no respect for nobody but his own kind. And the reason why I'm saying this is this here. When he said there ain't that many millionaires here in the city of Chicago, none less a billionaire. And the minute they pass that bill, if they pass for the 3% of the tax of the billionaire supposed to pay their fair share of the tax. Let's run with that for a second. How fast do you think they're gonna move out the city?
As quickly as possible.
That tax.
Correct.
Exactly. So the person who's gonna pay for the taxes are you and I once they raise the property tax to take care of these illegal immigrants. Okay. Now that's one problem we need to do. Now, if they put this on the ballot, we already know what to do. We just vote no on it.
Correct. And that's the thing. We got to vote no on that one, just like we did with the Bring Chicago Home ordinance.
You're right. And for the people, for the ones who 50 and under, you got to read the bill. And so if they put the bill out on the website, you got to read the bill and see where this money coming from, where it is going to spend to, and how it's going to be spent. And Brandon Johnson and the majority of the Democratic city council members have a very bad track record of balancing of these budgets, because if it ain't the CTU who want money, if now they want the illegal immigrants who want money. We didn't ask for this.
No, we did not.
And now we really don't want this no more. And so we don't need this type of rhetoric that we've been going through since we already had enough problem with when Lightfoot was in office. Now Brandon Johnson. So the only main thing we got to do is, number one, vote no. If they put it on the ballot probably in November, we got to vote no on this one, just to send Brandon Johnson and Lopez a message that we're not going to accept what you trying to feed us, and so no more. That's number one. And number two, as far as these migrants or these illegal immigrants and these Venezuelan gang members who over here want to take over our community and trying to take over the apartment, we're going to have to let the city council know. We're going to have to let the mayor know. We're going to have to let the governor know that if that's the case, if the war you want, we're going to give it to you. Because that's one thing about blacks. We know the streets. Mm-hmm. They don't. And if we have to if we have to take them out with a bullet, so be it. That's what we're going to have to do. And now we're going to have to send a message to the city council, the next city council member. We're going to have to let them know. We're going to have to get these guns down. And we're going to use these guns on these gang members if they even come towards us, terrorize us, torture us, or whatever they need to do to try to take over our community. They just got here about a minute ago. We've been here ever since before you were born, especially before I was born. We need to let these council members know that we're not playing these games no more. We're not going to compromise with them. This is no negotiation. This is going to be an act of war. And that's what it's going to. And for that guy who passing out these flyers that blacks hate immigrants, I agree with him. And the reason why I say that is because they don't belong here. Because if we migrate to Venezuela, I guarantee we'll be somewhere, our body part will be somewhere all over the country.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
773-345-9977. Join the queue. With all of that being said, I want to get to my guest, Miss Samantha Gasca, who I met in Magaland. So shout out to the Tillmans. Shout out to Jimmy Lee and Ebony and the Martin Luther King Republicans. They are also doing the work of the people. They hosted an event at Trump Tower, and that's where we met each other. I also want to do a quick cleanup. I want to give a shout out to Vashawn. Vashawn also was at the Black Voters. I didn't say your name, charged it to my head and not my heart. With all that being said, we met at the Martin Luther King Republicans event. We sat at the same table, and she shared with me that she was running for state rep in a primary. So you had an opponent. You were successful in beating this opponent, and now you are in the general election as we send righteous-minded people down to the state house, because it's one thing to complain about the state of Illinois and how they're mismanaging the money and how they are perverting the children, but it's another to actually run for office and try to make a change, especially as a young person, because we know that typically when people look at the Republican Party, these are elderly white people.
Right.
And here we are here with a whole new face and vibe for the Republican Party. And I just want the people to know who you are and, you know, what you're doing and how you are trying to help get this situation together as well, because people believe that the Hispanic community is on board with this, and no, they are not. So we are here to add unity to the community, because the move for MAGA is going to take a little bit from everybody. With that, Samantha, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for welcoming me. So I'm running for Illinois Senate District 19 against Mike Hastings. So that's where I'm running. And that would be around the area. You want me to tell them a little bit about? Yeah. So Joliet, if anybody's familiar with Lincoln Highway, Route 30, it goes east to west across the country. So it starts in Joliet, our district, goes from New Lenox, Mokina, Frankfort, Matteson, Richton Park, Olympia Fields, Hazel Crest, Oak Forest, Country Club Hills, that whole area, including Tinley Park, Orland Park, Homer, Lockport, Lamont. I think that's about it.
Okay. So what made you decide to jump into the race?
Well, I should say I agreed to jump into the race at the time because I was being asked to do this after I ran school board. So I've only been in politics for 2 years. So about 6 months after I got into politics, that's when I was asked to run for Senate. And I lost big time in school board. So I wasn't sure why they asked me, but the grassroots people found me, asked me to run. And I decided to, after about like a month or two of consideration, because it's a big responsibility. There's like hundreds of thousands of people in these Senate districts. If I screw that up, I can hurt a lot of people. So it's not something that should be taken lightly. It's not a decision that should just be flippantly decided. Like, I want this because I want power. There's a lot of people that go into it like that. I see a lot of people either narcissists or seriously have a heart. Those are one of the two people that I see in this field. And I can speak to our party mostly, I guess.
Okay. And that is very, very true. So why Samantha? Why should we rally behind Samantha to go to the Illinois Senate?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm not sure that you should until you research me, because I want to earn your vote on the basis of character and integrity. And I want you to do your research. I want you to check into my past. You know, I used to drink a lot. I used to do a whole lot of different stuff back when I hadn't dealt with my childhood abuse yet. I didn't realize I was doing that and sleeping around and doing all the stuff I was doing in my PhD program at Texas A&M. I didn't realize I was doing that as a result of the brokenness and the trauma that I hadn't dealt with, the sexual abuse, all that stuff from my childhood. So at that point, I feel like God came into my life in a big way in about 2012. And that's when I started working on myself. I actually haven't had any alcohol in over 5.5 years at this point. Praise God. Praise be to
Amen.
God, you know. So, but yeah, that was kind of my life before that. You know, I was an instigator. I'm still an instigator, but I try to use it for good things now.
Right. And I love how you owned, you know, who you are and what you have. You have a PhD from Texas A&M. What is your degree in, Dr. Samantha?
So actually, that's not true. I'm ABD, all but dissertation.
Okay, so what are you writing about right now?
Well, back then I was in a PhD program from 2012 to 2015. So it was a 3-year program. So I did all my coursework, everything except my PhD, but it was in beef cattle nutrition. So I spent the first 10 years of my career. I'm actually Latina, so it kind of fits in that whole thing with the livestock culture and everything. So I worked with, my PhD program was beef cattle nutrition and meat science, and I spent the first year of my PhD program in a cloning lab. Cloning animals is like
Wow.
essentially, I got to work with the embryologist who worked with Dolly the sheep, which was the first cloned animal ever in existence. So I'm like, that was the coolest experience. I never thought someone who grew up in a house with plywood floors getting slivers in my feet until I was a sophomore in high school would ever end up with these kind of opportunities in the world. Like, that is the beauty of this country.
Wow. So are they serving us cloned meat? Are we eating this?
No, this is for research purposes.
Okay.
So this is like trying to figure out how to solve certain problems in the health industry, like type 2 diabetes, cancer, those kinds of things. So they're using these animals for research, particularly.
All right, that was just a sidebar.
Yeah.
Back to the Illinois, back to the Illinois Senate. So what's your number one thing that you're going down there to fix?
Corruption.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so 100%, I want to bust out corruption left or right. I really don't care. It's not party or creed. It's no longer red versus blue, who's flying under what flag. It's the corrupt of either party versus the non-corrupt of either party. And I'm starting to see a whole, when I was little, my grandfather used to say, Mija, you need to get educated so you can help your people. I spent 14 years in college with 2 master's degrees. I knew the mission. I didn't understand why. Then in the last 10 years, I've been working in ministry. So with sex trafficked kids, domestic violence, gang violence, all that kind of stuff in the city, prison ministry at medium security men's prison here in Illinois, those kinds of things that I've been doing over the last 10 years. I don't remember why I went that direction, but I was working in ministry, and
fixing corruption.
Yes. Okay. So ministry is the whole purpose of this, I guess, in my mind, in my heart, is this is an evangelism opportunity for me. Maybe not so direct, but maybe people will get a sense of who God is by the way I try to live my life, and maybe want that too.
I have a question for you, because I'm sure the people watching want to know why a Hispanic woman is MAGA. They believe that the Hispanic community is working in concert with these people coming over the southern border so that everybody could come here and there's going to be a mass takeover. But you're MAGA on this side saying build a wall and close the border too. So how does a Latina woman end up being MAGA and trying to take that message to the Illinois Senate?
When I was little, this is hilarious that you asked that question, because the same grandfather that told me I needed to get educated would tell me that the people coming across the border that we're paying and he could barely speak English, but he says we're paying taxes. This is how he would say, I guess, in English, we're paying taxes so they can come over here and have their babies. So we're paying for their medical bills. Like, we're American. I'm an American Mexican. I'm 50% Mexican, but I'm 100% American. So that comes first. And I'm putting the minorities, including myself, of this country over the stuff that's happening. I think it's disgusting how they're perverting all of this stuff, all of the bills, taking the money from the people. Rich Township, according to some people in Springfield, insiders, was the #1 township in the Illinois that was most affected by taxes. And I was hearing people like across the board, and I'm not saying everybody, right? But everybody's taxes went up an exorbitant amount, but some people's were going up. I heard $5,000, $6,000, $9,000 overnight. That's on top of what they were already paying. And one lady, I was at one of the tax meetings, she was paying, what did she say? $783, and it went up to $5,083 overnight. And she had a disability. She was elderly. I'm like, how is this woman going to pay for this? And then you look at it. You look at the state of Illinois, okay? And who's been in charge the last 60 years?
Democrats.
Okay, and I want to make a distinction between the people who vote Democrat and the people who are in charge in the Democratic Party, because those are two different things. Because I know a lot of people who vote Democrat who mean well. But those who are in charge in the leadership has become the party of corruption. I guarantee you try to go run for a state leadership position and see that you have to raise. I was told this by some people who ran Democrat at the state position, and they didn't get the endorsement because they didn't raise like 150,000 or something, like they were supposed to raise minimum to even be able to be considered for that seat. And otherwise they're destroying your character and your family.
Yep. That's how it goes.
I'm not going to run behind a flag that flies that high. Pride comes before a fall.
Let's take another call really quickly. Because no, that's why we're doing this. We've seen corruption and we know, as my Donnie said, we deserve better. Welcome to Black Excellence Hour. Caller?
Hello, this is Bashan Tunsil.
Hey.
Chicago Red. How's it going, P. Ray?
Good. Hey, Bashan. This is the Vice President of Chicago Red. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm very interested in your guest. Congratulations for running for the Senate in Illinois. That's really impressive.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, we won a 3-way primary by the grace of God.
Yeah, your outfit looks very interesting as well. I like it a lot. You got the nice earrings going, the belt going, the glasses. You're killing them right now. You're killing it.
Thank you.
That's what the Republican Party needs right now.
Yes.
100%.
Pizzazz. Yes, as we say, when we talk about the Republican Party and we talk about MAGA is what's growing the Republican Party because the tent is big enough for everybody, no matter who you want to be. We give you the space to be you as long as you are America first, because we are the party of the American people. So thank you for calling and telling the guests how nice. Like I said, this is a state senator. She's not sitting here, with the no.
She's something different. Like, that's unique. We don't really see this in the Republican Party. And you got to give the Democrats this. Like, they have this so good that they're cool and they're more, in the hip and the now. That's why they always get majority of the younger votes. I feel like this is what the Republican Party needs. And this is why a lot of people like Trump, because a lot of young people, a lot of young Black people, by the way, they love Trump.
Yes, we do.
So if we get that, I understand that, the Republican Party is majority white, but if we get people like her in, that's like, as far as, with diversity, because I feel like if the Republican Party would be a little bit more diverse and a little bit more, modern, we would get so many votes, it's not even close. And I love that this woman is American first, and her record sounds very impressive, and she's trying to get the crooks out of Illinois. That's what we need. And then it's like a lot of people fail to realize that honest politicians that do their jobs and that aren't crooks, they don't have a lot of money. Even the president of the United States, what he makes a little bit over $100,000.
I think it's 400,000.
Almost millions of dollars at the end of their term. How? Because they're corrupt. They're taking deals and checks from China and Ukraine. But I don't want to get into all that because I know we're on YouTube. But I really thank you for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome. That's my job, to bring it to the people. That's why Black Excellence Hour is so unique and well loved, because we give the people what they want. Thank you. Thank you, Rashawn.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have a good show.
With the last 2 minutes of the show, I want you to give us your spiel. Let us know. So you want to get rid of the corruption, but you also talked about dealing with sex trafficking and, just a lot, prison ministries. Are you going to go to the state house to push those things as well? I mean, like, in what way are you going to execute these things? Because we know that the Republicans are a micro minority. So if you want to make these changes, you're going to have to shake a hand and make a friend. How do you sell this to the other side?
100%. Well, I think it's going to look really bad when it's bipartisan bills and they're not supporting it, about sex trafficking, harsher domestic violence laws, those kinds of things, or like, things that are bipartisan issues, I would say. What was your first question?
So I'm saying, what's your spiel? Like, for instance, let's say you say the sanctuary state policy attracts child sexual trafficking. Therefore, we have to change the sanctuary policy.
100%.
How do you sell that to the other side that's pushing for us to be a sanctuary state?
Right. Well, I would look at my opponent's records too. 100% of his voting record is all yes, 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 yes. You can find it online on all of the things it took us for the last 12 years to get us from where we were to a sanctuary state. So what I think is disgusting is that money is being attributed to, like, $800 some million on non-citizens versus the money that's being taken from people and stolen from people in the minority communities by jacking up our property taxes to an exorbitant amount that's unaffordable. Of course, this immigration is causing sex trafficking issues. Are you kidding me? I worked for a sex trafficking ministry, and I was trained by the FBI to work with sex trafficked children between ages 18 to 21. And the reason that I tell you that is because they tell you that the United States is the #1 country for the distribution of minors for the purposes of sex trafficking. And that's foreign and domestic. Okay. So you're talking about, it's like Chicago, right? We're like the center of the country. So we distribute things, right? We're distribution center because of all the waterways and all the railways and everything coming right through there. It's the same thing with the United States. We are the distribution center. So you're telling me, and they know this. So that's the question that we should be asking and being perplexed about, is if they already know that they're putting people who are military-aged men, people who are young men without families coming across, what do you think they're going to do? Of course they know this, though. Of course they know this. Just like the same thing, like abortion and drugs were being targeted specifically towards so-called Black and brown communities. That was the purpose. You know what I mean? As far as like the Ku Klux Klan and all of that kind of stuff. That was
Democrats, the same people hurting people the same way.
The same way, but instead of physical slavery, they're trying to enslave us by our minds. But what we need to do is do our research and start asking questions. And if you don't know what questions to ask, come to me. I'll give you a ton of them.
I love it. I love it. I love it. How can the people find you? Like, for instance, Bashan called and he was very intrigued. If he wanted to come and volunteer, tell us really quickly in 1 minute, how can we find you and how can we help you?
815-263-1122. Again, that's 815-263-1122. And that is my direct cell phone. I feel like the people should have access to me and not have to go through a whole ton of loops and all kinds of stuff. 15 people to maybe get 10 minutes of a senator's time. That's not right. Contact me.
Wow. All right. We are doing the work again. MAGA is bigger, much, much bigger than the president. We are making America great. So it's not just on the federal level. It has to be on the state, municipal, and county level. Miss Samantha Gasca, I thank you for stepping into the ring to do the work as the music starts to signal the end of the show, because it is time to go. With that being said, we are at the end of Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self-esteem. And I thank you for watching. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Chicago Red. Thank you, every single person who is standing up to the globalists. They want to steal our money and feed the world, but not when there are hungry Americans. If they're going to cut anything, it's got to be for the foreigners first, because this is America. We work hard for our money, and it belongs to us. God bless America and make America great again. This is P. Ray of Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self-esteem. Be sure to share the live. Come see what we're doing at Chicago Red, and make sure you register to vote, because these people gotta go. America first. See y'all later. Mwah.